Check it, please.
A photographer with an eye for beauty.
Nice looking lady. What?
Yeah. Why'd you ask?
A man of wealth who lives through both.
How's everything? Good question asked.
I seem to retain all these facts, but putting them to any useful purpose is another matter.
Each the essence of the civilized man.
Well, Charles, we're going on an impromptu adventure. You come too. All that money, never knowing what people value you for. I think your wife's pretty cute too.
So, how are you planning to kill me?
But when civilization disappears,
Why do we even think they'll come looking for us? Our friend's a billionaire. You know what happens when you misplace one?
all they have is each other to rely on.
Most people lost in the wilds die of shame because they didn't do the one thing which would have saved their lives. Thinking.
Their will to survive. And the question
Why would I want to kill you, Charles? Why would I want to do that?
For my wife.
of where the greatest danger lies.
Take it easy, Charles. It's okay. You got it, Charles. Come on. Just keep coming.
You saved my life. No, I couldn't kill you with Steven around. I'd have to kill him too, and he's the only one that knows how I like my coffee. What are we gonna do, Charles?
What? Am I supposed to have a plan?
Rich man. All anybody wants, take something from you when they want it bad enough to kill you.
You and my wife? I've seen you with her.
20th Century Fox presents Academy Award winner Anthony Hopkins,
You want to die out here, huh?
Alec Baldwin,
Money's folk. Sit up there, drink some golf, but get you in an emergency.
Right.
And you bloom. You make me sick.
I'm sure I do.
somewhere between the law of the wild and the nature of man lies the edge.
I'm not going to die. It's today. I'm going to kill them.
Billionaires. You know what happens when you replace one? I don't know.
That's some preview.
It's
all I gotta say.
It's a terrible trailer and not a bad movie. I have to hand it to it. It is a better movie than it has any right to be.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed David Mamet's Predator.
Essentially.
Yeah, that was I mean, can we that's who was that preview for? And what movie was it for? I mean, like like that does not. First of all, it does a fantastic job of not really giving you a good idea what the movie is about, but revealing almost every plot point at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's great.
It also aged horribly because first you see Alec Baldwin. You see Alec Baldwin with a knife and he's sharpening the knife. And then you see Alec Baldwin with the spear. And then finally at the end of the trailer, he has the gun. And you're like, yeah, that sounds like Alec Baldwin to me.
Yeah, checks out.
Oh, it must be a warning, huh?
Exactly.
But this is Movie Night Extravaganza, as you must have guessed from that new amazing intro that we have. Conan Neutron singing without his secret friends, just solo going at it.
That's right. That's what it sounds like. Be warned.
I am here with Jay Underworld. He's edging with the bear. I think we mixed up the terms edging and soaking, by the way. I think soaking is the one where you jump on the bed. I think edging is when you get right to the point where you're going to come and you stop. And I think that's because God, God only cares if you come. That's the only thing that.
Yeah, well, that's in the Bible. I mean, it's a very that was after Lot was in the cave with his daughters, and yeah, never mind.
That's Nut 3:7, right? That's what that one is.
No, that actually is a real biblical story, and I don't remember where it's from. I'd have to look it up.
I'm sure it is.
There are a lot of stories in the Bible. Welcome to my youth pastor.
Yes.
This is my youth pastor phase.
Youth pastor Forrest Miller over there.
He's about to pull out his guitar.
Yeah, exactly.
Let us know about the wonders of Jesus.
Give him that big Beto O'Rourke.
You know who else was kind of lit? Jesus Christ. Let's talk about it. Fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji. Also here with Conan, smarter than the Panther, Neutron.
That's right.
Protonic Reversal, which is doing a crossover with Movie Night Extravaganza on Thursday. Very excited about that.
Spinal Tap with it. We got a Devo, we got a Man or Astro Man. We have all kinds of surprises,
and we are going to whip it into shape. We're gonna shape.
Forrest may do whippets on the show because he doesn't have to do all the hosting. So we'll see.
Who was it that? Gab told us that she was gonna do a bunch of whippets before we did our Showgirls episode. She didn't do it, but
nobody would have noticed the difference. It's okay. Gonna be back. Got to do a little bit of touring last week, and that was great. And now I'm talking about a movie with a bear in it. Cool. All
right, and we have repeat guest, Substack writer who isn't Glenn Greenwald, RC Charlie Roberts. How's it going?
It's disappointing, like every day. At least I'm not Glenn Greenwald, though. That's a
hold that in your heart and keep it shiny.
Oh God. No,
and what's great is he's probably going to hear that disc because he ego surfs for himself. So.
Of course he does.
Well, his new thing today was that Libs of TikTok account got
oh my God, I can't.
got exposed or whatever, and he's now defending a homophobic and transphobic conservative Twitter user.
Yeah,
so good job, Glenn Greenwald. He's this much closer to fucking endorsing Bolsonaro, and that's gonna be the day that he makes his final break.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to talk about Glenn Greenwald on the show. I just,
all I was gonna say is he is probably gonna hear it, and then he's gonna send me a death threat in crayon or something.
He gets a notification in his mind whenever someone mentions him on a podcast.
He's got a cybernetic implant, but just for ego surfing.
All right, well, let's talk about The Edge.
Good to have you back, man. Thanks for coming on. Good to have you back, Trey.
Yeah, yes, no problem. I would also like to say I'm going to be a writer for the new Sublation magazine. That'll be launching on May 1st. Got to throw that in there. So
I might be doing some film reviews for them too.
See? There you go.
But I can't put two words together without without fucking it up. So let's see what happens.
He's got to take an index card, put a little glitter glue on there, but two words.
This is good, right? It's short stories. What do you want from me?
I'm gonna do the dictate thing where I just talk my review into into an app, and it's just gonna write it out for me, and they're gonna be like, "This sucks." And I'm like, "Well, it's the dictate app. It's not me."
It was done by technology. The robots helped me. All right, Forrest.
It's not me you're mad at. It's technology.
Isn't it always though? So I wanted to play to start this conversation off. Our old friend Bobby Wynant, interviewing Anthony Hopkins, and really just being excited that there was a bear in this movie. Classic Bobby, classic Bobby content, and we haven't had any Bobby content in a little bit. So
no, we need it.
It's about time.
I watched you in the freezing water and fighting the bear, and let us say that this is a real bear.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this is not some stunt guy dressed in a bear suit.
Yes, he's a real bear, 1,500-pound killer. He was also in Legends of the Fall with Brad.
Oh, so you're old friends.
Two old friends, shaking paws friendship. He's a big animal and he's a killer. He'll kill you if you get in his way. But he's been brilliantly trained by Doug Seuss and treated with great love and affection and respect.
How close? What's the closest you ever had to be?
From where we're sitting now.
Tony, didn't your mother ever tell you that bears bite?
They do. We were relatively safe, I think. I don't think anyone is going to be foolish enough to risk anyone's life on set. Whoever they are.
But does the bear know that?
Well, the bear, yes. So I don't know. I don't get involved in all that. But it was an exciting film to do.
I don't know which I would hate more, the freezing water or the bear scenes.
I think the freezing water was worse. The bear, freezing water was the worst. And the snow and the ice and all that. And the trudging up and down the sides of mountains. But, they pay us to do. So it wasn't that tough. And my joke every day is as long as the check's in the post, that's all that matters.
And now we know why they pay people so much money to do these things.
I'm with him on that ice cold water thing. I remember in college, the lake that my college was near, the ice had just melted, and my class went down there to draw at the lake, and I decided to jump in it, which was not such a good idea because as soon as I hit the water, I expelled all my air, which is something that happens whenever you hit freezing water, apparently.
Yeah, no, it is. You kind of get the wind knocked out of you almost,
Yeah, and it was a struggle to get back up to the surface to be able to breathe. Me being stupid almost killed me. So
Yeah, I had some misadventures with freezing water as a kid. So I know that feeling. I would always go too close to the water's edge or something and step on the ice, and then the ice would crack. But yeah, I think that it didn't seem like she knew that it was like a trained bear, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, so you just randomly ran into a bear while you were making a movie, and then what? Yeah,
it was a stalker of mine. He showed up on set in Legends of the Fall, so we put him in the film, and he was rounded for this one.
Sir Barrington.
So, which if you check his IMDb, the bear was also in Clan of the Cave Bear. The classic.
I believe it's Bart the Bear, right?
Bart the
Bear,
yes,
that's right.
Yeah. Bart the Bear is quite beloved on the internet, and has a fan club to be sure. But
sadly, passed away at age 23 in the year 2000. So R.I.P.
R.I.P. to a legend. Yeah, exactly.
Is that old for? Is that like how long bears live, or?
I thought they lived a little longer than that,
look. When you're a big star in Hollywood, you live fast.
Yeah,
cancer was the cause of death, so
Oh, I was gonna say Bart the Bear found with like a bunch of heroin in a fucking hotel room.
He was watching Legend of the Fall. Just
It was like
join the
was on screen on repeat.
Join the 27 Club. Bart the Bear.
By the way, classic Bobby bit. Speaking of those that rule, those that follow their own agenda. Let's just say classic Bobby. There, just Anthony Hopkins. Like, I can't believe that I'm doing this right now, and is just handling it with like absolute professionalism. As Bobby's like, I wouldn't want to fight a bear. I don't know about you. I probably wouldn't want to do that. Oh yeah, really, Bobby? Okay. Yeah.
It's the opposite of going on Joe Rogan, where Joe Rogan's like, I could totally fight a bear, bro. I could DMT with a bear, and I would fuck that bear up.
I have bear meat in my fridge.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you ever had bear meat?
Ever tried DMT? Did the bear do DMT? Did you do DMT with the bear? Was that bear trained? I bet that thing was fucking huge, right?
What kind of supplements does that bear take?
We got Bear Claw. That's our new sponsor. Bear Claw supplements. It'll get you bulked up like a bear.
Exactly. We'd like to welcome our new sponsor. This would have been an interesting movie to do a press tour, I think. Again, it's kind of fascinating when I was thinking about when I was desperately trying to do the promotion for the show and not mention the word edging. I was like, oh, it's the movie with the bear. Wait, no, not that one. No, not that one either. But I feel like there have been more bear-related films in the past few years than maybe there have been in a while. I mean, certainly there's bear-related content, BJ and the Bear, for instance, about a bear and his blowjob, and also other movies that, animated and whatnot. But as far as the Man versus Wilderness, classic, of course, would be Grizzly Man, and I guess The Revenant. Some people like that movie as well. This is sort of like on the outer edge of the pantheon, right? Like I really wasn't that familiar with this movie until Charlie suggested it. I was like, oh, this seems interesting. I also did not know it was written by David Mamet, right? This is written by David Mamet. And then once I knew it, I'm like, ugh, of course it was. Of course it was written by David Mamet. And look, I say that as a fan, especially for his hard turn to like neocon territory in the Bush administration. But I mean, the man's got a good writer, but his ideal actor and actress, I mean, is like a Rebecca Pigeon, right? Just stand there and like deliver the lines. So it's interesting that Anthony Hopkins, who's very good at delivering the lines, but also is very much an actor and does a lot of acting in this film. But Alec Baldwin as well, who I think at this point, this is post Glenn Gary, so he'd worked with him at least briefly on the iconic scene that he's in for maybe like 5 minutes, up there with like the Network Ned Beatty scene of just like, holy crap, like people just only think of that scene with that movie. And he had like a sort of a cadre of dudes, let's be clear, mostly dudes, and Rebecca Pigeon that he worked with, that all were like great actors that did stuff. And I think, look, I'm not watching these shows he's on, or like I don't care about his political opinions, but the man could write. The man's a good writer. And I think when people try to retcon writers that like have that sort of conservative bent as, oh, well, they were never any good. I was like, no, they have a specific set of skills. If we Liam Neeson this conversation.
I was gonna say if you put their brain in an fMRI, there would be just one specific part of that brain that lights up while everything else is dead.
Exactly. Yeah, they're fantastic at the thing, and you want them like, hey, why don't you just do that thing and not opine about things that nobody wants to hear about you from?
Hey, listen, come in this box. We'll have you come out when we need you to write something.
Exactly.
Look, we need a new movie, either about the wilderness or like real estate, or just something this niche thing. Please don't mention politics in this movie.
Yeah, just whatever you do is please don't mention the wokes. We don't need it. We don't.
Here's a shock collar, in case you just defy us. You'd be like, well, I think.
Because Ronan's an international crime caper with like intrigue and stuff like that. Does not mention once anything about politics.
My joke about David Mamet though that I came up with the other day is more like Glenn Greenwald.
Greenwald's gonna watch this twice.
Second reference of the night. So.
Yeah, you keep bringing him up, bro. So whatever happens, it's on you.
But I mean, there is like
Twitter feed movie night extravaganza
featuring Glenn
Greenwald. Look, it's one way to build an audience. All right. But yeah, Ron in the chat's right. I mean, this movie's no heist, which I quite like. I think it's like a wild underrated movie and one of the better movies.
I don't think I've seen heist since it came out, which is a shame because I remember liking it.
Gene Hackman, Delroy Lindo, of course. Rebecca Pigeon's in it. Rebecca Pigeon's in this film. But I mean, like they're good, man. Like it's a certain kind of thing. That's it. And there is doodliness all over this. It is classic Mamet in its way, but it's also it's a wilderness survival thing, and there's deeper things than just that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, I think that they're well, number one, I think Anthony Hopkins goes through some really amazing character / like personality, I guess, transformation throughout this, right? Because his original thing is he's kind of some kind of egghead billionaire that's kind of just made their bones by made billions of dollars. They don't even say at any point what he's really invested in or invented. Like they leave that up to you to decide.
It's immaterial. It's not important.
The only thing you need to know is that he's like Rain Man with information. Like, definitely put gunpowder on meat.
Right. I was gonna say he's his character starts out very alienated.
And almost kind of like autistic in a way, like the way that he kind of throws this, because it doesn't seem like he can connect with people that well, like socially, right? Like
Right.
he kind of is just in the background, and like as like an older British billionaire guy, like I guess it's probably interesting to have him around, but like he kind of just like throws facts out there without any real context to the conversation. Like all of a sudden he'll be like, oh, did you know that this is this? And then it's like,
yeah,
all right.
He has a unique worldview, and it's served him well in some manner of business, but he doesn't have a lot of close friendships, really. And that's one of the things that's so troubling about his relationship with Mickey too, is that like that is a close relationship for him, and that is very much a defining thing for him. And I guess we don't have to worry about spoiler alerting a movie that's 1997. Is this when this came out?
Yeah, 97. Yeah, 97.
Yeah, 97.
97.
But yeah, I mean that makes that particular betrayal hurt all the more when you've like have the stakes of like him being the one pushing like survival and moving forward, and honestly him kind of coming into his own from like all of like these random factoids and scenarios and things that fly around in his mind, and just being like the only guy of any use practically.
What I really liked about it was it's an interesting take on a character wanting friendship to the point that a guy can point a gun at you and be like, yeah, I'm gonna kill you, you know, and then he helps him anyway. There's the dubious underside to their relationship the whole time, because the only reason God, what's Alec Baldwin's character's name? Bob.
His name's Bob.
Yeah, it's always fun listening to Anthony Hopkins say Bob, but
not as fun. That's fun. Not as fun to listen to Alec Baldwin say
Charles
by the end of it.
Like a 70,000 times in the course.
And I do think it was excessive, but I do think it was meant to convey that like an impersonal, he calls him Charles.
But, there's also like kind of disgust in his voice a lot of the time.
Yes.
And it says a lot about the relationship between the two characters.
Yeah.
But it's also every single time he says anything.
Right, yeah, it is excessive. And there's a subtle sense of him mocking him, be like, what do you think about this, Charles? And it's like I think you're not gonna make it to the end of the movie.
yeah, precisely. Well, and there is that kind of ever so slight edge of contempt that is in his voice about all of it, that comes from a place obviously to some degree of jealousy and and like classic Mamet sort of like dudes vying for dominance kind of thing also, which is a thing that he not only does in his writing, I'm sure he does in his real life as well, but like also kind of like haha, but I'm kidding, but I'm also not, we're actually vying for dominance.
Right.
Okay, we get it. Yeah, we understand. Thank you.
And it most I guess at first rears its head when they're in the plane, and he's like, "What do you like? How are you going to kill me?" And then all of a sudden they hit a bunch of birds.
Right.
And the blood starts going everywhere, and it's almost like he kind of willed this adventure into existence in some way.
Yeah. I was going to say one thing I do like about Hopkins' character, though, compared to most movies about the wilderness and the main characters, is I do enjoy that there's an emphasis for him on thinking, like that line where he talked about most people die of shame because they don't do the one thing, thinking, which I appreciated. I was surprised that none of you had seen this. I was expecting to bring this up and have you guys be like, yeah, we've already seen that, and I think it's awful. Why did you bring this up?
To be fair, I might have seen it and completely forgot about it, because I do that a lot. Sometimes I don't even really watch movies. Like I'll just have them on. So like I remember like for a while in the 90s, I'd just go to the library, and we had somebody in the Academy who would donate all their videos like as soon as they got them to the library. So like movies would still be in the theater. I go to the library and get like a really nice quality VHS copy of it, and like it's this is for Academy use only. Scrolled across the bottom.
Doing some reading over there, Andy. Andy, Andy.
I'd be like drawing or playing a game or just whatever, but like it's just on in the background. So there was a possibility I did watch this in the 90s, but who knows?
Yeah. I was gonna say the first few times I watched this was actually
You're like, they said my name 1,000 times. This is the best movie ever.
Well, I was gonna say, hearing somebody saying Charles all the time, I was like you talking to me? No. I was gonna say the first few times I watched this, I had actually lied to my mom and said I was sick, and so we were watching that. It came on TV. We didn't own it or anything, so that's the first time I watched it. And I guess it was a good association. I mean, I was drinking Sprite. I had successfully deceived my parents. I was having a good day.
The first of many successful deceptions. Yes.
There you go.
And then you watched the movie, and you're like, I'm a guy that likes to think. And
I'm
this
a guy who
movie
likes
is
to
very
think.
pro thinking. David
Oh, you
Mamet,
like thinking too? Oh,
David Mamet doesn't seem very pro thinking, but I'm happy that he wrote this movie where the character is.
Well, all right. So first of all, I missed this movie, as I missed a lot of movies in the late 90s, because that's when I moved to Oakland and I just got real busy. I started playing music, not really well, but didn't have
days too,
Not for me. Until my best friend Clay started working at Tower. I worked at Tower Records. He worked at Tower Video, and then the movie watching. Yeah, exactly. The movie watching went way up afterwards, but this kind of fell in that kind of dead zone, if you will, between the two. And if I would known David Mamet was involved, I probably would have sought it out, because I love Anthony Hopkins. I still love Silence of the Lambs. I know, like, look, there's a whole podcast and a half about it, I'm sure, but like, I like Alec Baldwin. I'm not going to go to war for Alec Baldwin, but I enjoy his acting more often than not.
Yeah.
And
he's talented.
Yeah, and like I went through a period where I certainly never donned the fedora or anything, but I read some John Fontaine and Celine and explored all of the different tropes. Sin City, I never lost myself to it as some do, but I would have definitely sought this out. Also, it's like it's a freaking, these guys get lost in like the Arctic wilderness and like a bear is hunting them. I would be like, I'm in. Let's go. Let's do it. But even if I had seen that preview, I would have been like, I don't know, what is that? What is that movie?
Right.
Like all it really establishes is that Alec Baldwin wants to fuck Elle McPherson, as far as I'm concerned. Which I'm like, join the club, dude. We get it. Like,
which kind of in this movie, I mean, from the very, very first time he
trying to be
the guy,
vulgar,
right?
But...
like the first line really in the movie, that guy's like, oh, she looks really good over there, doesn't she? And then he's like, I mean the plane. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? So from the very beginning,
classic.
Right.
Oh my God. It's just like, all right, we get it. Yeah, we get it. And then also then they mentioned the bird strike. Like that's some Chekhov's gun foreshadowing, like big time. And it's like, I wonder why you're mentioning that. What's this movie about again? Yeah.
Birds.
Yeah, no, like the second I saw that line, my first comment was like, all right, so they're gonna hit a bunch of birds with that plane.
Yeah. So when they hit the birds, what do you think it's gonna look like? Yeah.
But then but see, and I'll play. I found a really interesting thing where they it's like 5 minutes, but they actually show you how they did the plane crash, and it's actually fascinating.
It looked amazing. It looked fantastic. I mean,
absolutely.
But like, you don't expect it to be as like brutally I guess bloody and gore, like grotesque kind of as it is.
Right.
Oh yeah, I mean the gore in the engine was just amazing.
Right.
Like so the foreshadowing that's like really on the nose, kind of, you're still like, oh fuck, oh shit, oh fuck, because like the window breaks, the birds like start breaking the window. I was thinking about how the first episode that Charlie came on for was the birds, so that that kind of cracked me up.
Oh, interesting.
It all makes sense now. It's full circle. No. I was gonna say just
this
real
is
quick.
The last show since we've gone full circle. So congratulations.
The only
I'm the character getting killed off.
The only episodes we have Ravana on for are ones where people are sleeping and there's something to do with like a dream.
It's pretty weird.
And the only episodes that we have Charlie on for are ones where birds fuck things up.
Does Devil's Advocate have birds in it? No, I'm kidding. I was gonna say
next.
Well, I was God damn it. I was gonna say that so when I watch a movie, I don't usually go into all the background stuff. For example, you mentioning who the director is definitely news to me, even though I've watched this movie about 1 billion times. So I will say I did read somewhere, and you'll have to substantiate this. I don't remember exactly where I read it, but Alec Baldwin was
fact checkers on it. Andy?
right. There you go. Alec Baldwin was complaining.
Hey, Charlie, you're out of order. All these birds are out of order.
I knew there was a scent of a woman here somewhere.
Right ass.
Bird. No, but Alec Baldwin, I believe, complained about the way that this movie was advertised, and he also said that there were parts of it that were taken out that should have stayed in that were really good. And I don't remember exactly where I read that, but apparently there's a lot of complaining from the man who likes to hold guns.
You guys are showing in the trailer that I'm holding a gun. What if one day I'm holding a gun and I shoot somebody and then the trailer ages really badly? I don't want that. Take that out of the trailer.
So the director of this movie, Lee Tamahori, I think is how you say his name. I probably just butchered it. The thing he directed right after this was an episode of The Sopranos.
Oh, really?
Toodle fucking go. Ooh.
Oh, that's a good episode of The Sopranos. That's the one where the fucking therapist is like toodaloo, and then she's going to her therapist, who's played by
Peter Bogdanovich.
Yeah,
Peter Bogdanovich.
R.I.P. to a legend, by the way.
R.I.P. to a legend, indeed.
Yeah, but then
he went on to do XXX State of the Union.
That's quite the pivot. Okay.
I was gonna say it was a step up, and then it was a tumble down the stairs just a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Fall from grace.
Yeah, grabbing onto the railing, trying to stop himself.
So this is the plane crash thing. It's like 5 minutes, but I found it kind of fascinating, and I was watching it the other night, and because they actually have to do it twice, and like they didn't like the way that the plane crashed the first time, so they had to rig the plane up a second time.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit.
No. Like do it over again. Do it over.
That's insane, right? Like,
yeah, man, that's freaking wild.
And his head rigger Perry Beckham have designed a cable system that will control the plane's descent speed and point of impact.
We want to create a crash where the people apparently have survived this thing, but there's enough of a disaster at the bottom for it to be a dramatic event.
The plane will be suspended from a specially built carriage called a skate. It runs on two 1,200-foot lines made from a lightweight synthetic cable called Spectron. The lines span the lake from the top of the 425-foot cliff down to the shore. The top of the rig is securely anchored directly into solid rock. Working at these heights, crew members must rely on their safety ropes, as any slip-up could prove fatal. At the bottom, the rig is held down by a sled loaded with 160,000 pounds of concrete blocks. The plane's descent will be controlled by a logging crane called a grapple yarder. Its winch will provide the brakes. Before attaching the plane, the rig is tested several times using barrels of water that weigh approximately the same as the aircraft.
Okay, and 3, 2, 1, go!
During each test, the crew monitors the amount of stress on the lines using special tension meters. A digital readout shows the pound force absorbed by the rig on each run.
That was 1450 on the Dynafor, 1450.
Very well.
Satisfied with the performance of the rig, Vizina gives the go-ahead to shoot with the plane tomorrow. In the early days, filming in the mountains wasn't possible, so pioneers like George Méliès used both miniature and full-size sets to simulate the great outdoors in his 1904 film, The Impossible Voyage. Unlike Méliès, Tamahori can shoot his plane crash in this rugged location, thanks to the aerial rigging team. At 5 o'clock in the morning, the crew returns to prep the plane for its brief flight. Mannequins are placed inside the cockpit to sit in for the actors. The plane is loaded onto a transport boat and brought out to the rig where it's attached to the cables. The wings and pontoon are pre-cut or scored to make sure they tear off cleanly.
That's it. We got it.
Once it's secured to the rig, the crew clears the area in preparation for the big moment. But before any action takes place, a safety meeting is held to outline procedures for the crash.
Now, in terms of safety, the area which is the most dangerous is 150 foot either side of the bollards holding the lines to the plane.
With the set locked down, the time has arrived. 6 cameras are in position to photograph the event.
If everyone could stay here now, that would be wonderful.
Vizina calls for the plane to be raised to its starting position, 425 feet above the lake.
Action, action.
After looking at the playback of all the angles, the director is not satisfied. He wants a bigger impact. They will film the crash one more time.
The first crash was great, but we were overcautious. We thought the plane would hit the water and flip right over the top of the cameras, but it didn't have enough momentum to do that.
Now, Vizina's challenge is to reconstruct the plane, which is in pieces at the bottom of the lake. The pressure is on. Due to the film's tight schedule, the crew has only 1 day to repair the plane for the next take.
We're going to send a couple divers down with lift bags. We'll float it to the top, tow them to shore with a boat, and then take a crane to reassemble it on shore.
Vizina surveys the damage to see what they're up against.
Yeah, no, I think we're in good shape.
The crew works around the clock. Come the morning of its second departure, they're busy with cosmetic finishing touches. This time, the director is asking for a more intense crash.
We're going to give them all the speed that that Newton's law will allow, and we're simply going to release the plane on the carriage and let it come down at full speed to the bottom. So I think it's going to be a far more dramatic event than we saw in the first one.
Holding nothing back on the crash means that this will be the plane's final flight.
Stand by. Here we go. And roll, cameras. Action.
This take was just what the director wanted, with the plane being twisted and torn apart by its swan dive.
Wow, that is 2 things. A, that's legit fascinating. B, I want that guy's job of just explaining what's happening on the screen for like actual effects, because that seems like an awesome job.
Imagine though if that like didn't go well the second time and the director they have to get another plane like.
My bad, y'all. Can somebody give me a plane? We got those, right?
What's this extra spending in the budget? Oh, we needed about 4 planes.
Don't worry about it.
He just wasn't happy with any of these crashes. He's like, that crash was too rough. This crash wasn't rough enough. We need something in the middle here.
Yeah, it's like Goldilocks.
Yes. And that crash was just right.
Exactly.
Where's my porridge?
I mean, it's interesting what gets uploaded, I guess, to YouTube as like,
You could have stopped that sentence right there and I would have been with you. Like, it is interesting when it gets uploaded.
No, but so they uploaded like the DVD extras, and I have some of those where they kind of interview the cast or whatever, but there isn't a lot of the press stuff for this. But the company that did the rigging, and they also have a clip about rigging the bridge when Anthony Hopkins falls off that waterfall. The company kind of was using this movie to really advertise their rigging business. So it's interesting. You can see every part of the movie where they rig stuff on YouTube, but like the press tour and stuff has been like lost to time. It feels like. And David Mamet only does interviews now about how he left the left. So there you go.
Yeah, loves to talk about it.
Oh God.
Well, you
Almost
just
as love
can't
as-
find him actually talking about his work is the thing. Like you can only really find him now on podcasts being like, one time I met someone and I was like, hey, what Democrat are you voting for? And they're like, not a Democrat. And I was like, whoa, which was his story. Because I watched one of the interviews he did with, it might have been.
You got it in. Yes, you did it anyway. You got it in. We're talking about it now. Congratulations. You were gonna do it anyway, and here it is.
I was gonna follow it up and be like, yeah, that was a short that's a short movie with made with Muppets.
I think Mamet. I was gonna say, I think Mamet just is one of those guys that like those people like to have him on because it gives them some degree of credibility. Because people are like, oh, I know that guy. Where do I know that guy from?
Yeah,
and like maybe they don't. Maybe they know Glengarry Glen Ross. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're big State and Maine fans. Who knows? But like.
It's the glasses. It confuses the conservatives. They're like, he must be smart.
Oh, it's that guy. He's got glasses.
He has bad eyesight. He must know things.
He hates the
talks
wokes
like a
too.
football player. He talks like a football player that's had a few too many, tackles, but he's wearing glasses. So
many tackles, no Super Bowls.
I don't think it's a kind of. Do you remember when everybody, all these right wing grifters, had to decide they liked Ariel Pink's music? Do you remember this? Because he was apparently Ariel Pink was part of the January 6th insurrection.
I don't even know who Ariel Pink is.
Well, that's good. Ariel Pink's terrible. There's no reason you should know Ariel Pink is. But Ariel Pink's like one circle out of like a friend group of mine, and I was like, this is fucking garbage. Why do people like this? But because apparently somehow he got wrapped up in this like stop the steal business and whatnot, like all of these like, and then people found out about it and freaked like, and this guy does have fans, that all of these like right-wing talkers had to pretend they gave a damn about his like really like bizarre esoteric music. It was a very bizarre week. Like, and I was like, they were trying so hard to like stand for it, and was like, no, this is you're not selling this. But the thing is, they're not going to do the effort, to actually listen to it or anything. But
I thought it was funny when Andy's like, I've never heard of them, and Conan's like, congratulations.
That's trash.
Well, there was a time period where like the New Yorker sometimes tries to get like conservative credibility by like they'll go hang out with like a celebrity that's like vaguely conservative for like a night or something. So they did that with Ariel Pink. And he ended up like taking this girl that was writing the article about it to like a bar, and he was just like complaining about the music the whole time. And she's like, this guy is really just kind of a regular guy that just likes to complain a lot. And it's like,
he's just like me.
Like that's kind of what these people are most of the time. It's like some, they see like an in with like, conservative tweets or whatever. They do a bunch of them, but it's like they're really just someone who's like edgy and just bitching about stuff.
Yeah, it's like a cat following a laser pointer.
This is incredible. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Charlie.
Oh no, that's it. That's the end of the metaphor.
That's it. That was the best. It was the lilies that he was in from Washington D.C., which actually were pretty good. But I happened to just look that up because I was curious. People also ask, is Ariel Pink for real? Is the first result, which is amazing, by the way. Is Ariel Pink for real is an incredible thing when you search someone's name. Is so-and-so for real? Great. Sadly, yes. All right. Anyway, that's enough about it. Let's stop giving that guy and Glenn Greenwald.
Right.
I said his name again. It's Beetlejuice rules. He's going to show up now.
Conan, I don't like. I'm going to intercept this conversation.
No.
All of a sudden, his window just pops open. Like Forrest is like, I didn't do that.
Forrest, why don't you like freedom of speech? No.
Typical leftist dialogue.
Don't you know freedom is spelled with one E? God, liberals.
Anyway, back to tonight's movie.
But I just think I think the rigging thing is kind of fascinating, and the fact they had to do it a second time.
Just like the election rigged. Sorry.
Stop the.
No, I was actually watching that crash, thinking about like how they did it. So I was really glad you found that.
Yeah, I mean, all seriousness, that is a cool clip because there's some great practical effects. Like, and if this movie was done today, it would be CGI.
Yeah,
right.
right.
And that's it would
including the bear. And this movie would not work.
Including
This
the
movie
bear.
would not
Yeah.
work with the CGI bear
No,
or
they're
a,
just
or
gonna
a
have
guy
the
wearing
edge.
a
They're gonna have
stunt
the
guy
edge in
wearing a
like one
bear
of those
costume.
suits.
Well, yeah, and I mean,
No, no.
you also know that if it was made today, Anthony Hopkins would have gone from, talking about thinking to like all of a sudden being real buff and being like, all right, let's kill this bear, and like made
I
it,
did this in 2 days.
instead of
He's gonna rip off his shirt and be groundskeeper Willie in The Simpsons, and you're like, whoa.
Also, the today version of this, Alec Baldwin would be looking for the perfect Instagram post. They really don't make Instagram posts like they used to.
You know how many followers I could get with these mountains?
Let me hang still. I'm gonna Instagram this bear. Like the bear's coming at you. I'm gonna Instagram this bear. Alec Baldwin dies in the first 20 minutes in the
dying for art.
Yep, exactly. Literally.
So did anybody else like as soon as they got the black eye on the plane knew he was going to die?
I had my suspicions.
Well, that's what. How do you see as Harold Perrineau? He's been in a ton of stuff. That guy was,
and he's great too.
Yeah, he
love
is.
him.
Yeah.
He was in Oz. He
Constantine.
Yeah. He for like that late 90s, early 2000s. That dude was all over the place. He was in the Matrix sequels, which I didn't care for, but a lot of other people did. He was in all kinds of stuff, and like then just like what happened? He like just like disappeared. He was in Lost, right? He was in that show before it completely just like freaking jumped the shark and then like went through time to jump the shark again. But
what if they were dead the whole time?
That is look, that TV show, which I still think the first season of that is one of the best seasons of television that ever has been. But that is a perfect example of having a story and not knowing how it ends, and then having all the pressure and then blowing it. And it's
yes.
They should, like I said, but the way I said that they should have ended Lost, they should have like had the island, and then you pull back from the island, you see like larger and larger focus as you go back, and it's just the shape of a middle finger pointed right at the audience, because that's how I felt about it. Thank you. That's my thoughts on Lost.
This is my group, dog. We're never getting off this island.
But I mean, like, yeah, like that guy was like all over the place, right? And then like he just was like nowhere to be found, or like I guess he's still been in stuff.
No, he's in a lot of stuff. It's just nothing we watch, like Claws or
is that another bear movie?
The Rookie.
Yeah.
Like lots of TV shows. He's in From right now. I don't know. I've never heard of this show. But like he's just going
like
from
David
TV show to
Frum.
TV
David
show.
Frum has a TV show now. Oh no, that ain't
No.
Fuck.
No, he's actually starring in it. It's on Epix. Good for him.
Awesome. That's great. I mean, yeah, like wasn't he in that horrible biker show, Sons of Anarchy? He was in that for a while. Just like freaking Brain Damage, the TV show. But I mean, yeah, but he's like that's a working. He's a good actor. But he definitely was like, oh, there's a black dude, and he's going to die early for sure.
Yeah.
I
was gonna say.
Well, it's also because
Harold Perrineau.
I think Alec Baldwin and not Anthony Hopkins.
Right, I was gonna say as soon as you saw. Yeah.
Look, it's like, hey, Spock and Kirk and Ensign, Jones all beam down to the planet. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, he might as well be wearing a red shirt.
Yeah, for real.
Well, it was certainly right after the bear got him.
Also, I mean, I think this is a trope in pretty much everything with the pilot. The pilot dies. Like the pilot's the first one to die. Because obviously they're like, we're gonna make sure that like everybody knows that they're not getting out of this by somehow like fixing the plane. Like the pilot has to die. I mean, like Hatchet, that is that famous book that's kind of similar to this, where the plane goes down because the pilot has a heart attack or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I never had any thoughts they were gonna be able to fix that plane once I saw it hit the water. I'm like,
I was gonna say.
But
I'm just saying, like that's a trope. I think in all of these wilderness.
It is.
Oh yeah.
One thing I thought, and this is good attention to detail. I don't know if this is in the script or not. The Anthony Hopkins character is reading that book or absorbing the knowledge of the book. He's like an like autodidactic all that way, right? Savant. Yeah, thank you. But you get to like a kind of interesting shot of like, oh, and here's the book going down with the plane. Well. And I thought that was, first of all, very kind of well shot, because who thinks about like, hey, you know what we're doing? Let's get underwater and get this book going down. Because it wasn't like it was like key to like a larger plot point, but it's sort of like, oh, they're like Alec Baldwin won't be able to like look at the book and figure things out.
Right.
Like, it's only this guy that like looks at it once and knows it for forever that is gonna know this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was actually a cool scene.
And you just saw the like how are you planning to kill me scene happen. So you're kind of realizing that they like need each other now.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. And I thought that was well done and very Mammoth-esque, but well done. Yeah.
Right. And I was gonna say they definitely kind of create Bob as a character who takes shortcuts. And if there was the book, he would have used it to try to help himself.
Yeah, unabashedly, and he wouldn't have like thought twice about it. And I think it's nice to have that sort of. it's like the dungeon master is like cutting off the area of cheating that they know that like their annoying player is going to do, of which Alec Baldwin would be the annoying player.
Right.
Yeah.
No magic.
Exactly. Like you got to 5 obstructions.
You can't teleport. No. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
You're my magic missiles.
Yeah. A hawk came down and grabbed your magic bag of holding and like flew away. Like, deal with this. You're stranded. But I think that like it's fascinating that how they unveil it. Like I still was sort of like he wanted to get a picture of the guy. Like it was like, oh, this guy. Yeah, let's go visit this dude. Like, all right, that's
right.
But it seems like it didn't seem like it was out of character for that fellow. It seems like he's probably gone to like great lengths for smaller rewards for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of it leans into the like, all right, let's say you were running around in like some beautiful area and you had a dude that was so rich he had planes plural. Like, but yeah, fuck it, let's go find this guy. Great.
Right.
Sounds like an adventure. I get it.
Well, yeah, and I also appreciate it because it kind of it kind of sets the scene where Bob is incredibly superficial about everything, and so to me it was kind of funny being like, oh, we're gonna go find this guy who doesn't want to be found and he's hunting bears, and then it's like, oh no, you're gonna crash and now you're being chased by a bear, which this guy hunts, and you're never gonna see this guy. Well done.
Right.
The other thing that they do, I think that I liked a lot is the first thing they think of is, well, they're going to see the note and kind of know where we went off to or where we tried to go off to, and then they'll kind of have a search radius. And then they have the really sheepish Alec Baldwin moment where he pulls out the note because he took the note with him. Yes. And I thought that was interesting because that's not something that I would think of if I was writing this, right? Like if I was David Mamet. I mean, that's not something that I would think of like being like, oh well, let's make sure that they get the letter too, so they don't even have a search radius. Like that's not the first thing I would think of.
Well, right, and I also appreciated that because that's one of the many fuck ups that Bob does, where he hinders it's Bob isn't the only hindrance to how they're gonna survive, but he fucks up plenty of times, and that's the first one where he's like, oh no, I got the note. It's like, If you wanted to turn it into a comedy, you could have titled it "Damn It, Bob."
What about Bob?
What about Bob?
What the hell, Bob?
What about Bart? What about the bear?
Bob Roberts. So this is Alec Baldwin talking about his character in the DVD extras. They don't go into that much detail, but it is interesting that he's kind of describing his character's personality, and that we have that as a resource, I guess.
Yeah.
Bob is someone who's funny, and he's lively, and he cracks jokes, and he's wicked. Charles is suspicious that Bob is up to something beyond adultery, and he voices that, and with no real evidence. Mamet tells a story in which everything is to extremes. Charles is not just an intellectual, he's a super intellectual. Charles is not just a gifted man who's successful, he's a billionaire. Mamet has ratcheted up all of the elements of the story. These guys don't get stuck in traffic on the San Diego freeway. They get in a plane crash in the middle of the Canadian Rockies. We go as far as we possibly can to ratchet up the drama as high as you can. I'm not an authority on Mamet, but sometimes I think that he writes the things that he writes where people use words almost like fists sometimes.
Yeah.
Very short and very tight. Again, there really is a kind of, I guess, a kind of a mammoth key that you have to play the song in. And if you don't, I don't think you're going to get all the juice out of the rind that you might.
I agree.
Yeah, I felt those.
Oh, wait, I was
manifests.
talking.
She has an excitement for life. She's very compassionate. She loves her husband very much. The environment, the location is wonderful. It's so works so well with this film because it's kind of the greatness of nature and how small humans can be in it.
That was a weird edit, but yes, Al McPherson.
That's probably a weird edit on my part, but
well, I mean, that's fine. It's kind of weird that they
It's
left.
all
it
your
like,
fault, Forrest. How could you? God damn it.
the American Indian cosplay that Mickey is engaging in their photo shoot is kind of like whole different time, huh? All right.
Or it's just that these are billionaire. This is like the wife of a billionaire and like a photographer that's just kind of so delusional. Like you could keep it in today and just be like, listen, they're so superficial and delusional.
They're so out of it. Yeah.
You just make people want Bob to die. You're like, look at this guy doing this nonsense. He should die.
Navajo Bob over here.
Oh my god!
Talk about cancel culture. Mammoth canceled Bob.
No,
it's almost like I was hoping.
I want to watch the movie where Alec Baldwin and Anthony Hopkins, same characters, but they're stuck in traffic on the San Diego freeway, and and they have the same reactions because the traffic will not let up.
Yeah.
Charles, how do we get out of this? Charles, I need to get home. Charles.
He gives Bob the story about you can choose. People choose.
You want to be
die.
stuck in traffic, don't you, Bob?
Yeah, exactly. That's
they cut off somebody and they're like stalking them through the freeway.
Yeah.
What
it's
one car can do,
the movie
another
Duel.
Can do.
Yeah.
Let me hear you, Bob. What one car can do, another can do.
Amazing. I will say that I think it's unfortunate. I was almost hoping, by the way, and it's David Mamet writing it, so it's not going to happen. But that like an actual native would have been around to be like, can you tell that extremely attractive woman not to wear my culture as her costume, please? But
that's what they're trying to find in the woods.
The guy that they're looking for.
That's right. He never appears in the movie. Yeah, right.
Sir, not appearing in this film.
Sir, not appearing in this film. But
he's in the very, very last scene. Like you see him
Chief
there
not appearing in
at
the
at the cabin when they get back.
Oh, there it is.
Doesn't have any lines or anything.
Yeah,
It's just like
it would have been funny if he was standing there. Anthony Hopkins gets off, walks over, he goes, "Is Bob dead?" He's like, "Yep," and he goes, "All right."
I saw the picture. I know what he's trying to do.
I think so. Last thing for that, because I would like to talk about Mamet's very specific type of dialogue and like it being like cutting and succinct and short and stuff like that. But I also think that one criticism to lobbing at him many times over is that he just is not the best at writing female characters, and that's true. He's a dude's dude. There's dudes duding up all over the place, even when there's female characters in his films. They tend to be like atypical, like tomboyish, or like what do they call it? Mary Sue kind of smart asses and whatever. So yeah, Elle Macpherson, I think does a good job playing what's basically window dressing, right? Like she's basically like a plot point and multiple plot points, if you will, and a very beautiful window dressing. So it's a shame because I think she hasn't really had a lot of chance to. She's doing fine, but she had a lot of chance to actually be a lead in the film or anything. So
I think that you pointing that out is really interesting because I didn't put this together, but I don't know how to pronounce her name, but David Mamet's daughter was in Girls, and kind of I feel like Girls.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's Oshia Mamet or something. You like. If you look her up, you'll have seen her in a whole bunch of different stuff. She was in Mad Men too. She was in she's been in a lot of.
Her, yeah.
I didn't know that was David Mamet's daughter, but I think that
she's awesome.
As far as like like Girls kind of is like the preeminent example of a show, and she was like one of the main.
She's in that
characters
movie. She's in that TV show, The Flight Attendant, as well. Like she's like the responsible sister, and Kelly Cacao is the fuck up stewardess. Yeah, she's great. I've seen her in like she's like in all kinds of stuff. She's like ran around. She's in. I think she's in another Silver Lake actually, which we're going to be doing next month, right? If I remember correctly.
But I think that Girls is almost like the like kind of like the girls rock kind of like the kind of toxic side to like white femininity, I think, like from what I've seen of it. So it's interesting that David Mamet kind of is like the opposite of that, right? Like his stuff is very bro central, and like he doesn't really write female characters that well. Like, so it's interesting that like those are the projects that they're involved with.
It's kind of overcorrection or whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't realize that David Mamet was her dad. But I can totally see it now. Although, like, she doesn't look exactly like him. Luckily. Hey, I wouldn't wish that on an enemy. But yeah, like she's like her like that kind of actress where she's like all around stuff. And I generally think she's pretty good. But it is funny. Yeah, Girls is definitely. I don't have an interest in having a radicalized opinion on Girls, but let's just say I go back and forth with it. Let's put it that way.
Well, I mean, I don't.
No one's pining for my opinion on it either, so it's okay, you know.
I don't think definitionally it's like a bad show or anything, but like from what I've seen of it, kind of it has the same kind of flaws that I think that you can point to in like a dude's rock movie, right? Where you're like, oh, maybe this takes some aspects of this a little bit too far. It has like some real blind spots. Like,
well, yeah. Look at whose show it is, right? You know.
I like to pretend that Lena Dunham doesn't exist, but
don't say it 2 more times. She'll appear too.
God.
The most insane.
They
actually did show up.
You're evoking the worst ghosts ever.
Exactly.
God.
They're still alive and kicking it.
And Greenwald and Lena Dunham both show up and start doing battle on this show.
By the way, amazing. I would hate watch a Rising style show where it was Lena Dunham and Glenn Greenwald co-hosting a fucking news show.
God. I was about to say you're evoking the worst ghost. It's gonna be like the worst version of Christmas Carol ever. Everybody has lessons that don't pertain to anything. Nobody knows what they're talking about. You're like,
well, I'm glad you said that because it brings us back.
Everyone's just opining about themselves.
It brings us to this movie, right? Like everyone has lessons that don't pertain to anything. We find out throughout the course of this movie that Charles actually does have lessons that pertains to being stuck in the wilderness. So,
well, I think about, all right, so I would not call myself a Zack Snyder fan in any way, shape, or form, and I was absolutely furious. One of my favorite movies of all time, Dawn of the Dead, was being remade by him. But if I took away the fact that it was meant to be a remake and just saw it on its own face, I thought it was an okay movie. And even though there was no explanation for the fast moving zombies, like in 28 Days Later, where they're infected people, and they're just like, hey, zombies are fast now. Great. But there's that character. I can't remember the actor's name, but the guy that's like their ostensible leader, right? He's just like a regular dude who just is doing regular dude stuff and happens to be a man born for that moment, which I think is an interesting thing that they usually lean into that in films as like, here's the big trope and reveal. And in Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, everybody like they kind of make that just like a small, very quiet and cool moment that I really enjoyed. And in that same way, Anthony Hopkins is his character, Charles, the Charles of the Charles fame. He's out of, he's a billionaire guy, but other billionaires probably think he's like a freak and like don't like hanging out with him because he's full of like obscure banal minutia and like
quit telling me about the rabbits, Charles. God,
yeah,
I want to know.
I'm just trying to like exploit this resource in this foreign country and brag about how much money I'm
just trying to be a capitalist. Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. This guy's over here doing aphorisms.
What's it going to be like when we walk out of these woods, Bob? Bob, can you tell me about it? Yes, Charles. We're gonna have a rabbit farm. And you're gonna get to tend the rabbits.
Look at the flowers.
Am I gonna get to tend the?
Look at the flowers, Charles.
But yeah, like
I have you. and I have you.
But I think it's fascinating that like that trope of like oh no, this guy is just not good at being around people, but he's actually like a pretty like cool guy, but like people only care about him because of his wealth and what he has. They only care about the things that he has, not who he is. And I think that that's fascinating because who he is the only reason why he survives.
So it kind of appeals to my cynicism. But what I like about Charles, I love puppies and small children.
Yeah.
I would never toss either one of them out a window. No. Not puppies.
Yeah. All children, fuck them. But
trip them to the restaurant. No, but basically, what appeals to me is that technically Charles as a character is striving for change, to change things as he's going about. He really wants to be Bob's friend, which it's a weird kind of earnestness that's mixed with suspicion, because he knows Bob doesn't give a shit about him. But he thinks, if I'm really good at making sure we survive, and if I make sure Bob survives, he'll be my friend. To the point where he gets to the end and he's like, my friends died saving me, which isn't true. He definitely carried that load on his own. But what is interesting is even as he's trying to get Bob to be his friend, the only reason Bob likes him is because he's useful. He makes sure that they can survive. And so it's interesting because it's a journey that doesn't surpass the beginning problem for Charles. For me, I don't think Charles as a character technically changes. Maybe he gets the thrill of applying what he knows. But outside of that,
he learns that the random facts in his head actually have a physical utilization. I think it's less about like his personality changing than kind of being thrown into the field and realizing like, oh no, I can have self-confidence because I actually know that the things that are like kind of just floating around in my head do have a personal utilization.
Well, he's like a cross between MacGyver and Encyclopedia Brown, and maybe that's not very useful in the boardroom. But if you're actually stuck in the wilderness, it's his world around him changes.
I mean, you could set up a deadfall in the boardroom.
Look, I'll pay for that prestige TV show.
The revolution has begun.
We won't tell anybody where it is. We'll just let it play out. But
don't leave your chair too far back, Bob.
but what's so fascinating about this is like it's the world, it's his environment that changes. Like he's the same guy. He just happens to be in a time of his maximum utilization, usefulness, and to some degree happiness. Like that he seems to be, like if you look at the emotional reaction between Charles and Bob to being like out in this wilderness, like Bob's like oh crap, we're gonna die, and then like Charles is basically like not necessarily having a good time, but he's in his element.
Right. Yeah, and I was gonna say that's another thing I really like about this movie is there's a sense of delusion for a good bit of it, where the only thing that really like Charles is under the delusion that if I'm really useful and I help us survive, Bob will be my friend. Bob's under the delusion that, hey, if I get a chance, I'll be able to kill Charles and I'll have his wife, and I'll make it out of here alive. And then, the only moments of real, kind of realness is when the bear shows up, because they actually have to confront something. It's interesting because you kind of see Charles faced with reality, as is Bob, like, just, having to deal with survival and things like that. But it doesn't change kind of the story he's telling himself, which we see at the end when, as I said, he's like, oh, my friends died saving me. It's just, and so it's interesting to me. I think it's a good grasp of the human condition. We definitely have things that we tell ourselves to make sure that we can get through. And it's very hard to shake that, even a bear attack apparently doesn't shake that. So.
And
well, I would say
they say that within this, right? He says, I've never known anyone that's actually changed. And then, you know, they have the line from Bob where he's like, yeah, you'll be the first. Like,
Right.
so it is kind of a fascinating. I mean, I thought about you watching that part of this movie because we've had our argument where you're like, I don't think people really change, like, you know, who they are at the core of it. And I'm like, well, I think people can kind of undergo these transformations and stuff. So, like, watching this, I almost felt like I was being hammered through with the point you were making.
Well, you can see why it's my favorite movie.
Yeah.
it you know, it confirms my own delusions. I can keep, you know, walking through the woods thinking people are going to be my friends and not push me into a deadfall.
Damn, dude. But I mean, I think it's important at the end of it. Like, I think Charles is well aware that, like, he has two choices here. He could tell the truth, or he could tell, like, the story that, you know, will make people feel, if not better about it, like, kind of give them something to chew on that isn't something that just doesn't need to be said. Like, it's an honorable move. It's not like
No, he's still a bro to the end, kind of.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, when I say a sense of delusion, I'm just using that in a technical term. I don't mean he's and that's the other thing that's interesting, though, is that Charles uses the things he goes through to and tells the lie at the end to, you know, kind of convey the lesson that, you know, other people need to learn, but, you know, that, you know, I guess didn't pertain to him because, I mean, Bob tried to kill him there in the end. So there's the sense of another betrayal. He didn't really, you know, but it's kind of interesting that, you know, I guess the best way to describe it is he conveys a lesson that's not actually a part of the plot or the story. It's not something that, you know, he actually learns organically, but it's something that he wants to pass on through, you know, the story he created.
I mean, I actually think that's a Mamet thing, by the way. That happens in his writing, but people, honestly, as much as, like, look, David Mamet is worthy of all mockery for his political opinions and whatnot, but the fact of the matter is he's a very smart writer, and, like, there's a lot of nuance to what he does, and people can't get past the fact that, like, you know, like, oh, his ideal female actress is Rebecca Pidgeon, who I like, by the way, but I get it when people are like, all right, I understand. I don't want to hear your opinions. I understand, though. But, like, there's a lot of, again, I mentioned earlier, look at State and Maine, right? There's a lot of, like, nuance to it. And that is probably one of the more self-aware movies that Mamet did, as far as, like, his writing goes. But it works on a few levels, and there's these nice small moments that he never gets credit for. And look, I would probably want to punch the guy out if I hung out with him at a bar, right? But I mean, like, game, respect, game, good writing.
Right.
And I think that an interesting thing, right? If you're looking at this movie as something kind of going on within, and I don't think this is what it is, but, like, if you're looking at it as something going on kind of within Anthony Hopkins' like head almost, right? Like, this is kind of his character development. This is how he realizes, like, I don't think he's changed by the end of it, but he's realized kind of confidence, and he's realized that, like, no, he does what, like, the facts that he learns do have a real life impact. And, like,
it was almost like a guy version of the ugly girl who goes to the prom and gets, like, the makeover and finds the confidence.
Yeah, but so if you look at it like that, right? And if you look at it as if it's kind of like the central thing is what's going on within Anthony Hopkins' head throughout this movie. Kind of Bob represents to him, I think, completely, like, his insecurity, right? Like, these people don't want to actually hang out with you. They just, and he says these things, and, like, you know, you're like, oh, well, that guy's kind of a dick. But, like, you know, looking at it in terms of, like, a mental struggle kind of going on through his head throughout the entire movie, like, he's kind of putting into words the things that you have to assume are within Bob's head, like, you know, like, or within Charles' head, like, oh, like, you don't, your wife doesn't actually like you, you know, that's, like, the wife that you got because, and so, like, when Bob finally
like
dies,
there's the extended scene where he's like, when people see you out and about, what do you think that they're thinking? Like that stuff like that, where it's like, wow, you're just gonna lay it out like that, huh? Great.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, I was gonna say that big rant in the middle of it where he's, you know, yelling at Charles. And he's like, you make me sick. That whole thing.
That whole rant that you learn more about Bob through that than you do about Charles. He's like, the two things. He's like, the two things that you really care about: Jews and taxes. I have not heard Charles say anything about
Oh,
Jude or Tash.
wait, we can introduce
That's
it
just
to
more
it.
about what's
Right.
going on within Bob's head than it does within Charles.
We need Patrick Bateman to show up and simmer down a little bit.
No, but he's cool it with the anti-Semitism.
Well,
But
yeah,
the whole quote, right? Like, you money folks, isn't it? Sit up there, drink some golf, screwing the maid, but get you in an emergency and you bloom. You make me sick, but what puts you off? Jews and taxes. You don't get the feeling that any of that. Like, I don't.
Right.
I don't think that Charles has ever played golf. Like, he doesn't feel like a golf player.
Right. I was gonna say the
Classic
interesting
projection. Yeah.
The interesting thing I found about that whole breakdown.
He's definitely not screwing the maid. Like,
right. Right. Exactly. And the thing I found interesting about that entire breakdown is it's kind of almost a verbal version of a kind of a personal breakdown for Bob, because Bob the whole time up until that point, is being Bob. He's being snide. He's being snarky. Oh, you'd be the first, whatever. And then he just has this massive breakdown and he projects all his, nonsense onto Charles. And what I like,
tell you something, Bob absolutely kills them on Twitter.
Right. Oh,
Probably.
shit. But, right. So, but what I really liked about that is how Charles just doesn't say anything, and he keeps repeating I think it's the part where he keeps repeating the same question. Do you know how to start a fire with ice or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he keeps repeating that question, and then he just stops and he lets Bob have this massive breakdown.
His meltdown.
Yeah, his meltdown.
75 tweet thread.
Yeah, I was gonna say, give him,
folks, let me tell you what I think about them.
I was gonna say you could give him a tiara and he could be on Bridezilla, just have a massive
Just
breakdown. And what I liked about that though is it kind of I think the best way to describe this is it allows for Bob's character to give up the front so that he can start trying to learn from Charles to survive. So, it doesn't really help him because he still relies on Charles all the way up until the end. But, he starts to actually try to help cooperate, with, surviving instead of sitting there hoping that Charles, comes, by some fatal accident. Like a deadfall, perhaps. And
good use of deadfalls in this film, by the way.
Yes.
Can I just throw that out there? Like, good use of deadfalls.
Yeah. I like the fact that they put the deadfall on the table of the first act, so they could fall through it in this third act.
And
Look,
I also
this is Chekhov's gun store. This whole movie. I mean,
Right.
Seriously,
And
it's all over the place.
I definitely really like that this movie doesn't really have pretensions about this kind of stuff. Like, they can just set it up. They set it up like in the first
Set it up
act.
and knock
They're
it
like,
down. There you
this
go.
is a deadfall. If you step on it, you go through and you get stabbed. And then the third act, he falls through it. And it's like, there's no like pretension about like, oh, let's kind of try to hide this or something. Like, no, this is just what's going to happen. Like,
Because that did not happen in Predator. Because at no point was Schwarzenegger like, watch out for the deadfall, and then he uses that later on to capture, to kill the Predator.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's a deadfall. I think that the weight of the predator could kill itself.
The thing I like about the deadfall is, no scenes like that. Exactly. With the other classic dudes rock movie Predator, which at least we had the foresight to have a female co-host.
You money folks, isn't it? Sit up there, drinks and golf, screwing the maid, but get in an emergency.
Oh man, Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Bob role. Wow.
Yeah, at that point, Charles would probably be asking more of him, be like, "Hey, can you move move this wood, please? Maybe
why don't you just lift the bear up and slam it into
we can sort this whole thing out. This movie's
Listen, I'm
gonna
gonna come running, and I want you to stand right here. When it comes, give it a bear hug, unintended, and throw it on the ground."
A little different than the fashion world. A little different than snorting the coke off the girl's hip bones.
That's amazing.
Oh my god.
Of course, if you replace Alec Baldwin with Arnold Schwarzenegger, who would you replace Anthony Hopkins with?
Nobody. Anthony Hopkins is perfect.
Yeah.
No one.
With actually the bear, Bart the bear is Anthony Hopkins. As Arnold.
Anthony Hopkins is the bear.
And Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony
I was going to say Anthony Hopkins acting as Hannibal Lecter, chasing them, and it's the bear.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's cosplaying as the Edge.
He's gotten a taste of flesh. He's gotten a taste of flesh with some nice fava beans and some Chianti, and he's running through the woods. He's going to get you. He's Hannibal Lecter.
Get this. And I know this is Christina's bit, but all right, settle in, everybody. Other people considered for the role of Charles Morse: Robert De Niro.
Hey, Bear, you talking to me? Talking to me? There's no one else here.
And invoked earlier with Rayman, Dustin Hoffman. And
I think Dustin Hoffman could have done it.
But it would have hit differently, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think Anthony Hopkins is kind of perfect for this role, and thinking about this movie kind of as a transformational journey through the mind of Anthony Hopkins or something like that, right? Like his character development at the center of it, he absolutely kills it. But I do see a very different movie with Dustin Hoffman.
Right.
It gets who also considered for the role of Robert Greene, Ray Liotta. Think about it.
Hey, Scorsese, remember me? We worked together in Goodfellas.
Dude, I'm part of a Scorsese eyebrow posting. That's the name of the group on Facebook.
Yeah.
And like most of the jokes are just like Ray Liotta like desperately trying to get Scorsese's attention and him
pay
just being
attention.
Like, no. Ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to be a bear.
I mean, I like Ray Liotta, but like wrong type of dude for that role.
Yeah,
like, big time. Also, Richard Gere up for the role of Bob as well.
No, that would have worked.
That would have worked. Different movie, but it would have worked.
Yeah,
Richard Gere and Dustin Hoffman, I think, would have been an interesting pair. Two silver foxes.
The Edge was with Dustin Hoffman and Richard Gere. Yeah, exactly. That would have been and then also the last one considered for the role of Bob, John Travolta.
Just see him like the bear shows up. And he's just like
stuck in the woods. What do we do? This is the worst possible version of this movie. Donald Trump as Charles, as that bear.
Oh God.
There's a bear.
Hillary Clinton as Bob.
So I didn't go far enough. And someone else for the role of Charles Morse, Michael Caine. Michael Caine was considered for Charles Morse.
He's a different kind of
different
British
type
guy.
of man. Yep, he's a different kind of.
He's a different kind of Brit. He has good dentists.
Oh, he's a different kind of limey.
I did enjoy Michael Caine's famous "Hunting Without Hunting." Documentary. No, Acting Without Acting. That was his famous.
I acknowledge the reference.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, no.
He's like I acknowledge it, but I'll take it.
But like,
further.
would Michael Caine do his regular accent, or would he actually switch it up and do like a more like upper class British accent, like Anthony Hopkins has? Because the thing is like Michael Caine has that
Anthony Hopkins.
The English accent
on his name.
There's a lot more vulnerable, like relatability because he's more like that. And Anthony Hopkins is, a lot more like that refined
elite sounding,
English.
refined.
Almost
there's
mid-Atlantic
difference.
Yeah.
So
by the way,
you would change that character very much by having him have that lower class accent. Make him not like the character of that we saw in the movie, but it'd be more like a Donald Trump in a way, where he'd probably be like an outsider among the elite.
A different kind of outsider.
Yeah. So I just that would be actually very interesting to see. Like how would they do that?
By the way, I should say that the second half of the Bobby Wine interview with Anthony Hopkins, because remember this is 1997, is I guess it's a week before their interview is done, a week before Princess Diana's funeral. and she's asking a bunch of questions about Princess Diana's funeral, and because he's he has Sir in his title, if he's expected to go.
Yeah, you have to answer to that. Exactly. You have to answer to all
the next
royal
like
family
8
questions.
minutes are her rapid fire answering questions,
Amazing.
like asking questions about Princess Diana that have nothing to do with the Edge.
Yeah, what a legend. What a legend. Just
Of
like
course.
I'm going to talk about whatever I want, whenever I want to, and how I want to.
Princess Diana killed it as the bear, I think, but she didn't ask about.
Right, exactly. Uncredited role. Up there with Jack Nicholson. in Broadcast News.
I was gonna say before the bear killed Stephen and killed Princess Diana.
And they were in their car. Imagine what the bear would do to you if it was just you. No. Do you want to do the letterbox one-liners though? We're trying to keep these down to less than 2 hours. So
You're acting like I'm the one prolonging it, but sure, yeah, absolutely. Forrest. I would love to do letterbox one-liners for.
Now, for the role of letterbox one-liners, do you want me to read a list of actors that we were
exactly
about to read?
Christina was going to do it.
I was going to say, if Ray Liotta's up for it, let him do it. I want to hear that piss.
Think about this: Jank from TYT replacing Conan.
All right. I can see it. Different flex, but I can see it. Of course, yes, everybody, as everybody knows, Letterboxd is a place for film, open source democracy, social media site for film lovers to talk with
some nice fava beans
and a nice Chianti. Wrote a song about that on Art or Murder, the record about Hannibal Lecter, but that's a different thing entirely. That we'll save that for the plugs. The Letterboxd community is a bunch of film lovers talking about movies they love, movies they didn't love, movies they were baffled by, movies they wanted to opine about. And of course, that is best represented, for this bit at least, in the classic Working on Your Type 5 one-liner review. These are the Letterboxd one-liners for The Edge. Forrest, let's go. Bart the Bear, most captivating role. Never has Bart left me in such suspense and anxiety. Bart the Bear's talent should be studied by the next generation of animal actors. Also, Anthony Hopkins killing a bear looks all too easy.
Does it though? I mean,
it looks
he went through
accidental.
some shit to kill that bear.
Yeah.
I agree. Bart the Bear was robbed that year from the Oscars, though. The animal Oscars.
Also, they didn't have the bear from The Revenant up against Leonardo DiCaprio, and that kind of feels sus to me. But
that's Hollywood for you. It's about who's in and who's out. Bart the Bear was cute, pouncing on the tree log. Hee. Let's see. How many times did Alec Baldwin say Charles? A lot. And man, I tell you, it got annoying.
Charles.
It's almost like watching the old Charlie the Unicorn bets. Remember that?
Oh,
It's like,
fuck no. Fuck no. That ruined my middle school, junior high years. Everybody sang it over and over. I wanted to. That's where I started hating the masses, because everybody was doing that.
It all goes back to that.
The original trauma.
That's like Forrest Gump being released the same year I was born.
Oh God.
My whole life, every old guy just is like, "Hey, has anyone ever told you before? Run, Forrest, run." I bet no one's told you that before.
Yeah,
like,
no one's ever said that.
You're the first, you motherfucker.
Yeah. Or
I hope
he's
I
got
hope
the whole
they-
world in his hands. Like if I had a nickel for any time an old guy said that to me, I'd be.
I hope the nurse at your nursing home.
I'd have a
beats you the
flame.
fuck up, Grandpa.
Oh, hey!
I'm just kidding. Neither of my grandpas ever did that.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. He's dead.
They are both dead, but you know.
At first, I wasn't sure if this was going to be about the boys, but it is. By God, it is about the boys.
I like movies about the boys that have some personal growth. I'm not gonna lie, I do. You know, it's not just dudes rock and they're hanging out. They have some. By the end of it, you feel like you've learned a lesson too.
One of the boys has to die.
But it's the
And
law.
we get
If there's no
two.
growth. Yeah, exactly. If there's growth, no one has to die. But that's the gift of the Maggie there.
You're just trying to get the growth out there before one of the boys has to die, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
Exactly. Is this the best movie on earth? No, but also yes.
Agreed.
It's perfect.
It's definitely the movie that says Charles the most.
Someone get Bart the Bear a fucking Oscar.
He killed it.
Just take the one that Will Smith lost.
Keeping it topical.
Okay, but replace Chris Rock with Bart the Bear.
And replace Will Smith with Anthony Hopkins.
By the way, talking about great ones dying young. This is one of Bart the Bear's final acting roles before his death on May 10th, 2000, at the age of 23. Far too young. Far too young.
R.I.P. Bart the Bear, you magnificent bastard.
How are you planning to kill me? It's Alec Baldwin. He's going to kill you with a gun.
I like how the trailer though worked up to that, because you see him with the spear, you see him with the knife, and it's like that's not Alec Baldwin's style. And at the end of the trailer is the gun. And you're like, that's that Alec Baldwin shit that I know about.
Oh, yeah, that's Alec Baldwin.
I didn't recognize him until he had the gun.
Once he had the gun in his hands, I knew he was.
Liz Lemon, I'm tired of this.
I didn't know which Baldwin it was.
Glenn Gary, Glenn Bear.
Yeah.
Nice.
Solid.
The key to wilderness survival is a billionaire mindset.
Charles, hashtag hustle culture. Charles.
Hustle culture. Extra star for frequent use of motherfucker.
Yes.
Dude, I was hyped up when fucking Charles turns around and goes, I'm going to kill the motherfucker. And it's like,
no, that was
you are. Fuck yeah.
Fucking get some. Yeah,
I was personally moved by the whole what one man could do, another could do speech. I felt motivated. And I think that it should be turned into some kind of YouTube talk where
hear me out. Hear me out. We can make it a like a Bitcoin.
Oh my gosh.
The Edge NFT.
Alec Baldwin says the name Charles 87 times, with each one more annoying than the one before. Plus, a bear gets a bad case of heartburn from eating steak.
And they fucking eat the bear.
And they eat the bear. Yeah, they do eat the bear. You know, Anthony Hopkins slipped a disc during making this movie. Isn't that crazy?
I'm not surprised.
And I didn't include this clip, but there was a thing where I guess Alec Baldwin convinced him in the woods to stop filming and actually get like his disc looked at.
Just two guys being dudes.
Alec Baldwin claims that Anthony Hopkins is his favorite actor. I wanted since I referenced that clip,
Hey. Those are Letterboxd one-liners for The Edge. You can find Forrest on Letterboxd under Moving Extravaganza.
Just ruining the show's brand.
just having controversial opinions and everything. It's crazy. I, of course, am Conan Neutron. You can find me on there as well. J. Andrew World is on there also, and watching whatever he's up to. I mean, he's
I'm always watching something weird. And
all those words are true. And Charlie, of course, our featured guest for tonight's show,
Charles.
He's on there. He calls his shots like a sniper, but he's on there. And of course,
I'm either gonna pan a movie everybody likes, or I'm gonna like a movie everybody dislikes.
There you go.
Or I'm just gonna be really mean.
And so those are Letterboxd one-liners. That's a bit we do every week for this show. Andrew World, take it away. Edging with the bear. Let's go.
Yes. All right. If you're watching us right now on Twitch, please subscribe if you can. If you happen to have an Amazon Prime account, you can subscribe for free. That helps us out. We thank you very much for doing that. If you're over on the YouTube, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, hit that bell, like a bear's going to get you. And of course, watch the video to the very end, because that does allow other movie fans to find our videos. We do
I feel like that's the hardest ask that you give of people for this bit.
I know, but you got such a dope song.
You can always mute it, leave it on.
Yeah,
exactly.
Just mute it. You don't want to hear it.
Play it while you slumber.
Yeah, that's what I do for Ben's videos. No, and we have a Patreon. If you really want to help us out that way. With Patreon, we're going to get you extra stuff, like extra videos, such as our after parties. Do we know when our next after party is?
I mean, I think in the near
Today.
future we're gonna do one where it's literally just an after party, not for a movie, where we talk.
Yeah, now
stuff through.
just its own thing. I think we're probably gonna do one on Thursday. I think it would be disingenuous not to. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a good call.
We didn't really talk about it. I was real busy trying to get a normal sleep schedule again.
I hear you. But
And
yeah,
by the way, we are now making over $50.
Maybe we could
on
invite a woman
Patreon.
on an after party, right? Hey, dudes rock.
Yo, why is every fucking movie night extravaganza after party a sausage fest?
It really isn't though.
It is, no, that's what's funny is it totally isn't. But yeah, but this panel is. Anyway,
Oh, what
Andy-
is this? What am I watching? A fucking sausage fest. That's what I'm watching.
That's what you get with The Edge.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
You
Jenna
get the parents
Fisher of
to
The
do-
Office. Jenna Fisher of The Office fame. One of her favorite movies. She watches it regularly. There you go.
I'm that.
Charlie? Yeah, you got an in, maybe. I don't know. I think she's married, but
That's never stopped me before.
whoa, hey!
That's never stopped me before, Charles.
Andy, what else we got? Like, we're not doing the Discord. I guess we got a Reddit, right? Like,
Yeah,
what
we got a Discord, but I don't know what's going on with it. I think we're letting people in.
I think some outfit. Oh yeah, we got
Something's
it.
happening.
I don't
over there.
know. Honestly, I set it up because I thought we were going to do something with it, and then like nobody ever answered any of my questions about what we're doing.
I mean, I'd like to set up movie watches soon, but I've been sick and I mean, it's been a boom time.
And like they're just I got to take time to actually learn what I'm doing on there. So there is that aspect.
All right. So watch Andy learn in real time on discord.com.
Yeah.
Go to the Reddit. There's at least you can discuss the movies and stuff like that. That's the thing we seem to be doing.
There's a fucking Reddit over here.
Reddit. Hey,
fucking Reddit.
I gotta. Is that it, Andy? Do you have anything else?
I think I hit everything. Just like and follow our social media, and find Charles too on his
RC Wisehack and what is the thing you're writing on?
Your Substack.
The Substack, which is called Ferokia Anime.
Yeah, that's right. Fabio
there you
Anime.
go. Yeah. And yeah, I'll be writing for Sublation magazine, which I think
I'm excited for you guys to launch that.
It's awesome.
Gene is like a big part of friend of show and fellow Dune fan.
Yeah, let's get Dune historian Gene Bajalan. Yeah.
Yeah, he was my friend until he's like, hey, this article, I have some edits for you. And it's like, hurt my feelings.
Friendship with Gene Bajalan is ended.
One friend.
I was looking for something else when I found this piece of banal minutia, and I am going to throw it in because I would be disingenuous not to. But yeah, this movie inspired a highly successful television reality show of the same name in Brazil, where participants were selected from normal people, including executives, graduates, and clerks, left in a wild and deserted area of Brazilian landscape, and had to survive using techniques similar to the ones mentioned by Charles Morse.
Hey, you know who lives in Brazil?
Damn it.
Glenn Greenwald.
Glenn Gary, Glenn Greenwald.
We have something for you to do. No access to social media.
So I
this is for everybody. This isn't just for you, but you'll win millions. It's going to be aces.
I have one more clip to play. This is there was one clip of David Mamet talking about this movie. So hold on, I'm going to fast forward to it because otherwise it's like a 4-minute clip. And I'm not trying to listen to the director talk about the movie. But
I'd rather see what Ellen McPherson has to say, frankly.
This is a young David Mamet, and then I'll jump to final thoughts for everybody. But look how young he looks. You know,
he does.
To write, and if one's writing well, it is an adventure. Because you're making up a story and you're participating in a story, and you get to mold it and to get to redo it, just like the stories that we tell ourselves when we're walking down the street. Wouldn't it be great if? So writing is no different. It's just writing down those fantasies. So if you're doing it well, it's just as enjoyable as those fantasies of love, success, revenge, courage that we have when we're walking down the street. It's very easy to as often happens when people get lost in the woods, they start mistrusting their compass because they literally panic. And the term panic is an old ancient term, and it means invested with the god Pan, who is the god of the woods. And it means when you get panicked, you venture into Pan's domain, and the god strikes you back by driving you a little bit insane. And when it happens to you in the woods, it's the real thing. It's no joke. And there are certain circumstances in which one either has to confront it and overcome it or die. And so that's what this movie is about.
And scene.
It's about writing fantasies, man. Like the fantasy that somebody could be a Republican.
But you know what? You know what else?
Love, success, and happiness sounds like a Republican.
You know what else he wrote this year? The Spanish Prisoner. Really good. Wag the Dog. Wag the Dog, which I think we're going to cover on election month, whenever that is, which is not going to be election month. Yeah, because I was just kind of like, I was curious as what the timeline was for that. Yeah, so there you go. That's more.
Ronin came right out.
Ronin
right
was
after this movie, which I love. Ronin. That's my favorite Mammoth film.
Ronin's good. People are talking about it more and more.
It says something about me though. That's my favorite.
All right, so starting with good old Charles. You know, final thoughts. I mean, you suggested this movie. It's like one of your favorite movies. I can see why.
Movie.
It's it's a celebration of thinking and billionaire thinking.
Yeah, you know me. I'm secretly a billionaire. This house.
Yeah, you're slumming it on this show.
Yeah, this is me just hiding it. I'm like, oh, I'm not a billionaire. Look at this house, so small.
Exactly.
Yeah, so this movie is my favorite movie, and the reason is for a lot of the things we've already talked about. I enjoy movies.
You put it on. These are bad movies, and they panned it, right?
They're not smart enough to pan it, but yeah, they tried. Yeah, I'm starting beef. I don't care.
I think those fires just finally went out too, but there we go.
It doesn't matter. They're still in the back of the Arby's searching through trash. Anyway.
No, but I just say that to, this isn't the first podcast that you've talked about.
I know.
Attempted to talk about this film and been talked over by other people.
Well, I mean, I attempted to talk about it on the other one too, but nevertheless.
That's the joke. Anyway.
You wanted a Dude Rock audience. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. No chicks allowed. We took your edict.
No women in this place.
Charles,
only men. No.
Charles, you really think a woman like that would you have a private plane, Charles?
Right. Please continue. 30 seconds uninterrupted. Go.
Okay. Well, besides, for example, usually I prefer movies with real good character development and really good dialogue tend to be the things that I prefer. So pretty much most Tarantino movies are pretty good for me. But the thing I like about this the most, and people who read my reviews of movies and books and whatnot will know this, is that I approach fiction like it's an ecosystem. Long story short, there's a bunch of different things going on: dialogue, characters, setting, plot. And, it's an ecosystem because it all has to work together as an expression of art. And I find this movie to be really balanced for me. It's got good dialogue. It's got good characters. The attention to detail and the setting, like Forrest was saying, Chekhov's gun definitely rules this film.
Conan actually said that. I'll give him credit.
That was me. That was
I'm
me.
sorry.
A point of order. Yeah.
Chekhov's gun, Charles.
That's how Alec Baldwin
go off in the director's face.
That's how Baldwin killed him in the end. He's like,
exactly.
No.
Exactly.
Chekhov's gun.
You thought it was a metaphor. Turns out a literal gun.
This is real. No. But yeah, and so, which I appreciate. I appreciate movies that are efficient with what they have going on. And so, and what I also like, and this is just my very critical opinion, because usually I'm panning things. I'm a very stingy, very stingy reviewer. But
it's The Edge and weirdly enough Titanic. Those are your
Wow.
If I
hate speech on this show.
I can't. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Never thought I'd see the day. Sad.
Ruin my reputation. Why won't you? No. Anyway, but basically, what I really like about this is I find the plot to be almost austere. It's almost simple. It's going into the woods, surviving, and one of them comes out. And for me, it's a rule that in film or in fiction in general, simple plots are the best because they allow for the development of everything else. And so those are my final thoughts, my final interrupted thoughts, Forrest.
So interrupted.
Just start passing off. Be like, I didn't say that. Conan said that.
I thought you said Bear interrupted it first too. Which I was like,
Bear interrupted it should be the alternate.
Yeah. I was talking, and then a bear just showed up. I had to sharpen my sticks.
Yeah. That's great. Angelina Jolie in a role you will not believe.
I actually had a phone call once from Gene Shalit, and he calls me up, and I was working at this store, and I told him I was real busy, but I kind of called him back. So I called him back, and he managed to take care of the problem. And he's like, Andy, I got you on the phone. Can you do me a favor? The bear's been going through my trash again. Can you show up to my house with a pointy stick?
Fantastic. Are those your final thoughts, Andy?
No, that's just my Gene Shalit story.
Oh, okay. All right. Did you often have to fight off animals for him?
Only that one time it was, but I truly would call it Bear Interrupted.
Fair.
I would call the show Bear Interrupted, but
hey.
All right, Andy, let's hear these fucking final thoughts.
Really, I'm before Conan for once. Wild.
Oh yeah, I guess so, huh? Well,
yeah.
Usually
Crazy this season. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, we're mixing things up. I wasn't ready.
Exactly.
I was always going to say that I always thought that Chekhov's gun was going to be a phaser, but there we go. We went there.
Good thing I'm not wearing a red shirt.
Yes,
I would be.
This was actually kind of fun to watch because it really was David Bannett's Predator. It's like Predator for smart people in a way. Because like Predator is not necessarily a smart movie, but it works on every level, and it's absolute classic. This also really does have that Pretty in Pink vibe too. Where why are you drinking while bringing up Pretty in Pink?
Why are you bringing up Pretty in Pink?
Because truly, going into the woods was like the makeover that Charles needed to realize that he really was always the pretty girl.
There you go. All right, there it is, folks.
There it is.
Andy World, everybody.
Yes. So
the internet's own.
There you have it.
Conan, sorry, I'm trying to find the video at the same time. We're all hanging out.
Look, yeah, I know. I got things to do too.
God,
so I
so
think
no, I'm trying to. I wanted to close this out.
Pay attention to me, Forrest. God, no.
I wanted to close this episode out with a certain video instead of doing my own final thoughts.
That's fine.
He
you
has
think?
no final thoughts.
I think I articulated it probably a little better earlier on. I think this is a great, there's a great nuanced script that was executed very well in this film that I was just otherwise unaware of. I think Anthony Hopkins' Charles character is very interesting, and I think it's fascinating. You get to see him like be the thing that be the same person, but have his situation change and have him like kind of uniquely come into his own. There are tropes here that I don't love. The culture as costume is a bummer. No matter how beautiful the woman is, it's on it. Not giving a beautiful woman anything to do other than be a beautiful woman kind of bums me out. Killing the black dude early on kind of blows, but ultimately I thought this was an enjoyable movie. Look, I mean, the 90s were the 90s, and I was pleasantly surprised by it. I didn't quite know what to expect, but this is definitely up there in the pantheon of people v bears. the classic Supreme Court case that everybody refers to all the time. And I think that it was very well directed, very well acted. As much as like some of the stuff, I mean, some of the plot points of this movie phone ahead that they're going to be happening, right? But there are some genuine surprises, and it's how they get there that's interesting. And that's one of the things I like most about David Mamet's writing. And I think that it's a shame that he just seems bound and determined to decimate his legacy, and he's doing a fantastic job of it. But I still like his writing. And I think that it doesn't color it for me in the same way that, like I said, I probably want to curb stomp James Ellroy if I met him in real life. But he's a freaking great writer, right? So, and it's amazing to me that there was this movie, and he did State of Maine shortly afterwards, which is an incredible dark comedy. And this is probably one of the least funny movies I can think of. But it's just up to the edge of what I like about, dudes being dude movies. And there's always a self-awareness to it. There's also is a celebration of it, which I think that you can't talk about celebrating masculine identity without talking about idiots, fakers, and charlatans. And there is something to be said for it. I wish that somebody, I'm not going to do it, I'm busy doing other things, could figure out a way to discuss it in a clear and cogent manner that doesn't celebrate assholes and idiots. And at one point I thought that was going to be David Mamet, and then the Bush administration happened. So whoops. But I like The Edge. I think The Edge is a good movie, and I would never have watched it if it hadn't been suggested. But I was fascinated by the fact that Charles liked something.
Charles. I can't like anything for the rest of this year.
I was like, I want to hear what's like when this dude likes something. Cool. Let's lean into that. And it didn't disappoint, honestly.
I just really like bears. No.
Yeah, I'm just a big bear fan. I think that for me, I always would rather hear people opine about things they love than tear apart things that they dislike. That's me. I'm a unique iconoclast of that type and style, but I think that this has been an interesting movie, and I'm glad that we covered it.
And also, talk to your doctor about erectile dysfunction.
Who's that aimed at, Forrest?
Was reptile dysfunction?
Reptile dysfunction.
Reptile dysfunction. That was an anaconda. What?
I don't know.
He thinks we're talking about snakes on a plane.
No, I don't know. I just pressed a different banner than we have.
Are we trying to get a sponsor? What's happening here?
Yeah, well,
I go on one tour and I come back.
Bob Dole is dead. Who's advertising Viagra to the masses?
God.
Thank you, J. Hutch. Appreciate you.
All right, is that the end of your final thoughts? Because I am going to pass my final thoughts onto a video, a classic video. Really, perhaps Anthony Hopkins' best role that he's ever played.